I say we go ahead and get started today, guys. I see we got a good group today, so thanks everyone for joining. Today, as you know, in our vRealize webinar, vRealize Deep Dive Enablement Series, we will be covering Custom Dashboarding 101, which it was a hotly requested topic, so excited to go into that today. First, to give you a little bit of an idea of who I am, and I know I've met most of you on the phone, we are your VMware Cloud Management team. We cover the entire Southeast US region. We cover the whole vRealize portfolio, Salt Stack, the True Visibility Suite, and the Cloud Health products for VMware. My name is Shelly, and I'm the engineer that most likely supports your account. And I work on the other side with Tim Adams, who is the account executive for Cloud Management that supports you. But less with that. Also in the chat, as some of you guys heard me talking about before the webinar, and I'm dropping that link in the chat right now, we are sending out a free vRealize book to everyone that attends today, a little enablement book. They're called the Gorilla Guide. I take a look at them sometimes. They're available as an ebook as well. But if you would like and fill out the survey that I just dropped in the chat, we can send a copy of that to your house. Who needs shipping? When I have Tim Adams to do all the shipping for us. So if you want to go ahead and fill out that survey, we will get the free book sent to you guys to further help with vRealize enablement. The book does a great job of covering dashboard creation, but that's also what we will be getting in today with, right? I've worked with many of you to create custom dashboards, but really wanted to take kind of the 6 steps that I've seen my customers be most successful with and share that out to help give you guys a good idea of how to create dashboards in your own environment. The 6 steps that I kind of run through and recommend running through when creating a custom dashboard in vRealize operations is first establishing your use case, right? Why am I creating this dashboard? Why would a user want to be able to see this information, right? Second is building out custom groups and applications. As you know, VROPS captures so many objects and so many metrics in your environment. And how can I kind of separate and segment that into the logical structures that make sense for your environment? Third is VROPS metrics and how they can be displayed, right? There's a lot of metrics, and finding the ones that are most relevant to you and putting them in your dashboard is super helpful. We'll go through how to lay out your dashboard and configure the widgets, how to create dashboard and dashboard interactions. And then lastly, we'll talk about sharing your custom dashboards with your users. Dashboards, there's a lot to cover today. That's why I made the webinar 45 minutes instead of our typical 30 minutes. But I'm confident at the end of it, we'll all have a better knowledge of how to get these dashboards out. So I'm going to launch a quick poll, as I like to do. So I'm launching that poll right now. First, I wanted to get an idea of who you all want to create dashboards for in your business, right? Normally when working with customers, I see them wanting to create dashboards for one of 4 different user groups. And you guys are actually able to select multiple answers as well. So if multiple of these would apply to you. But creating dashboards for app, data analysts, or development teams to keep an eye on their applications or their groups of VMs, right? Finance teams to give them an idea of costing, spend, ROI. Leadership teams, right? Giving them, summary, uptime, SLA reports. And then other IT teams, right? Creating dashboards for, networking teams or storage teams. And, for many of my customers that are using the True Visibility Suite, especially, this is super relevant. Everyone take a little time to answer that. I see the hottest ones coming in for sure are the application and development teams, which is not a surprise. And also a lot of people want to create dashboards for other IT teams and their leadership teams as well. So thanks to everyone for polling into that. That gives me a good idea of what you guys are looking to do. So kind of thinking about those teams, right? What are the major use cases that I see my customers building dashboards around, right? First, what I see for my customers is wanting to build dashboards around cost, spend, TCO, and ROI. Sometimes for certain users, right, CPU ready, right, CPU uptime, memory, memory allocation, right, might not be as relevant to someone maybe in finance or leadership. But as many of you know, vRealize can do a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to calculating, cost and spend in your IT environment. So I see many of my customers, whether using our pre-built dashboards from the Solution Exchange, or custom dashboards, being able to calculate and keep track of cost and spend. Second is uptime and meeting SLAs. This is a huge one, probably one of the most popular, along with performance and alerts, right? How can I show back to application teams that their applications or groups of VMs are up and getting the resources that they need? Third one, performance and alerts, right? This is a huge one when it comes to enhancing communication with you and the teams that you work with, right? How can you provide a custom dashboard or self-service access to information that helps users identify, okay, is this a me problem? Is this a virtualized layer problem? Is this a hardware layer problem, et cetera, right, when looking into the environment? And last is scaling and consolidation. This is a fun one. A lot of my customers kind of go to bat when it comes to, right sizing and making sure that they're using the IT resources that they have most efficiently, right, and being able to share back, scaling and consolidation information to users and letting them know that the IT environment is supporting, their application in a way that is effective, right? So that's what I see a lot with my customers. If anyone has anything else they want to create custom dashboards around, or if one of these really sticks out to you as being most important, please drop it into the chat. I would love to hear from you. And as we go along, please drop any questions you have in the chat. I'll be following along and trying to answer those along the way. And Tim, if I miss a question, just come off mute and shout at me, okay? All right, none of you guys are here for PowerPoint, so let's launch over into the demo today, vRealize operations. The first thing that we'll be running through today through the agenda is building out those custom groups and applications, right? So say, a user probably isn't interested in every VM that you have in the environment. It looks like a few people don't have the survey link. So okay, I am dropping that in. So hopefully you guys see it now. So let me know. Awesome, thanks Mark, and thanks Steve. So looking into vRealize operations, the first thing that we'll be running through is how to build out those custom groups and applications. To be able to do that, we're going to jump into the environment tabs. And there's two places that you're going to be able to do this in the tool, right? Also, guys, we are recording today's session, and I'll be posting it to my YouTube channel. So don't feel the need to, scribble down constant notes, right? Hopefully, you guys will be able to check out that later and follow along. But jumping back into custom groups and applications, how can we segment out the environment to just show what's relevant to a user of a dashboard, right, and not the entire, VMware or IT environment. So starting with custom groups, down here in group types, you'll see an idea of what I would recommend putting in a custom groups, right? If you would like to create a dashboard for a certain department, right, based on certain VMs, right, you could make a group type of a department, environment, function, location, right? Even things like security zones, right? You can build different kind of groups around these constructs, right? So let's just stick with function, and let's pretend we're building a group for the DBA team, right? So we're going to build a group that just covers our DBAs, right? This is also where you'd be able to select a certain policy, right, for this team. Say you wanted it to be more sensitive or less sensitive than how you monitor the rest of the environment. You'd be able to set up a custom policy. I did pick policies as a topic for next month you guys could vote on. So if that's something you're curious about, make sure to vote on that at the end of the session. here's another really important check mark to hit when you guys are creating custom groups, right? This keeps group membership up to date. So in a minute, we're going to start defining membership criteria to create this group, right? Either based on names or properties, right? So if you check this box, as new objects meet this membership criteria, they will be included in this group, right? So let's say we want all virtual machines. So this is how we create object types in this group, right? So we could make a group based on virtual machines, right? We could do a group based on host systems, right? So any object that you guys have access to in vRealize operations, you'll be able to create a group around. So I'm going to stick with tried and true virtual machines. And then down here, it's going to give us some options of, how to include them, right? So we can either include objects in this group using something that's similar about all of them in the metrics, in relationships, in properties, in object names, or in the vSphere tagging that's around them, right? So a lot of different options there. Object names a super popular one, right? A lot of times you guys organize VMs around a certain object name. So we'll test that one out first. You can choose the object name is not, contains, does not contain, right? So let's stick with contains. And because we're playing around with the DBA team here, let's go with any object that has SQL in the name, right? And you'll see all the VMs right here. Go ahead and put it in this group. You can also build out more complex membership criteria constructs. So say you wanted to build out an OR relationship, right? So the object name contains SQL and the relationship, the SQL VM is a descendant of a certain host or a certain data center, right? So you could pick out a data center object in here, right, and build out AND type relationships. You can also build out OR type relationships, right? So if I remove this one, say I wanted to do a virtual machine where the object name contains Oracle, right? You can see that we have a couple of VMs in here that contain Oracle as well. Now, some different options to choose from when you're creating these groups, but I'm sticking with object names for this particular example. So membership criteria is great, right? Because now that we've clicked this box, if we create a new VM in our environment that has SQL in the name, it will automatically include it in this group that we have built out in vRealize operations. So we define membership criteria, but what you can also do is manually select objects, right, if they don't meet a certain criteria. So down here, say we wanted to go and look at virtual machines, right? To be able to look at that, we're going to scroll down here on the vCenter adapter, right? Go down into virtual machines, and here will pop up a big list of all of our virtual machines. We can, go ahead and click a couple of those, add them in, and include them in this group manually as well. So now we have two different types of membership criteria set up, as well as two objects we manually selected. The last option is to manually exclude objects, right? So the same way we included objects, you could exclude objects from this group. And then you can also go down into here and assign custom properties. Haven't used this too much with my customers. We haven't really got this deep into it. But let me know if this is something that you think you need to implement. I'm happy to work with you on it. So down here, if we press the preview button, we can see what VMs are included, right? So you see those ones that I manually selected, all the VMs in our environment that have SQL in the name, and then these two that have Oracle in the name, I'm also including in this group. I see we got a question in the chat from James. He asked, is it okay to change the default group names, or is it better to create new? To that question, James, these group types that are built out in the tool are unchangeable, right? So these are kind of pre-built, right? And any kind of group that you add, you'll need to put in one of these kind of categories, right, to be able to include it. right? So, you know, environment, function, whatever it is may be. In a minute, when we're creating the dashboard, you'll see how these group types kind of mix into the tool and how you are able to find them. I'm actually going to change this from function to department. I think the DBA team can be a department at my pretend company. All right, if anyone has any questions about creating groups, drop them in the chat. Now we're going to jump into and create a little sample application, right? So now we can see my DBA team department is now down here. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over into applications and add a new application, right? This is also a really helpful construct within the tool. It's going to give you a few different applications you can set up, a basic web app, an advanced web app, you know, networking. You can also build out custom ones, right? Press OK. Now you can see that it's jumping us into this application pane. Say I'm going to create an ERP, my ERP application. You can see here that we have a couple of different tiers, right? You can add in custom tiers, right? So I could be like, you know, new, update. Right now I have a new tier. I can also delete tiers, right? Let's get rid of this networking tier. For the purposes of today, I'm just going to come down here and throw in a couple of virtual machines into this group, right? To be able to build this out, right? So I see another virtual machine down here. I'm actually going to select on virtual machines. So I'm just looking at virtual machines. So I went down over here into object type. Okay, I scroll past it. Yep, there we go. All right, so now it's just showing me virtual machines. So I threw a couple in the web tier. We're throwing a couple of them randomly into the apps tier. And then I'll throw one of them into the database tier, right? So we built out a little custom application. This is a great way that vRealize operations can start being aware of how your company operates. Built that out. I'm going to press save. Now you can see that I have that ERP application built out. If I click into that and go into metrics, you'll now see that I have that ERP application in vRops now on the web, database, and app tier of those. And then if I scroll down, I can start to see how those are, how all those objects are related, which is pretty cool. Awesome. So now that we have some of the constructs that we need built out in vRealize operations, now we're going to go ahead and get to the meat of it and try to build out a custom dashboard to share information about those that application and that department that we created with users. So going to jump over into dashboards. To create a new dashboard, you're going to go ahead and, if you're on the newest version, click on this little hamburger icon, as we like to call it, and click on Create Dashboard. So I'm going to go ahead and call this dashboard webinar example, but you're going to be dropped into our dashboard creation canvas that we're going to be running through today, right? Down at the bottom, you can see examples of all the different widgets that you can have access to, right? There's a lot of different kind of stuff down here to be able to work through. But I'm going to run you through some of the ones that are most helpful, right, and how to make them be able to talk to each other. The first widget that's almost in every dashboard is this object list. What this object list is going to be able to do is display certain objects that you select, as you can tell from the name, to the users of your dashboard, and can also display some high-level metrics about them, right, that are attached to the object, right? So what I'm going to go ahead and do and press this little pencil button to be able to edit the widget. That's going to take me into the editing widget screen. I can change the name of this. I'm going to change it to select department or application, right, which I want my users to be able to select that application that we had worked on and that group that we had worked on, right? Then what you're going to go down here and do is click on this output filter button. The output filter is going to change this object list from showing every object that's in your environment, right, which is a little much, to just the objects that you want to be able to look at, right? So I want to select a department and applications, right? So what I'm going to do is jump down here into object types. And if I scroll down, you can see that I have 3 applications in my environment. And I also, if I go down to departments, 3 departments as well. And James, to your question earlier, this kind of construct and how we organize these types of objects is why we can't have custom object groups in the tool, right? Because it's kind of pre-built and built into this kind of dashboard creation, right? So that's why you can give them your own names, but you kind of have to select them as part of one of our pre-built kind of object types. So let's just save and take a look and see what we have. All right, so now you can see that we have access to all of the different applications and departments that are already in the tool, right? But as you know, I just want to be able to show them the DBA team and the ERP application, right? So how would I be able to do that? We're going to go back to the pencil and actually go back down here into output filter again, and then jump back down here into advanced, right? So what I'm going to do now that I have these 6 ones showing up is I'm actually going to go in and be like, okay, I want for departments, right? I want only departments where the object name contains DBA, right? As you know, we called it the DBA team, right? So you can see we have that here. And then I'm going to add another criteria set with the OR. I'm going to put in application. And then I'm going to say object name is, and then ERP application. Then it'll pop up kind of autofill for you. So you can just click on that and it'll fill it out, right? So now I have, now this widget should just display the one department, right, that has DBA in the name, and should only display an application if its name is ERP application. So if I press OK, awesome. So now we can see that we're getting the behavior that we want there, that it's just displaying those 2 for us. However, as you can see, we've got all these kind of additional columns here, right? And some of these aren't maybe won't be very useful to our users, right? So I actually want to maybe show some other information in this widget that would be more useful. So I'm going to go back to my pencil, and to display additional columns, you're just going to go down here into the additional column section, click there, and press this pencil, right? And that's going to take you into this screen, right? So what the first thing that you're going to do is come up here and search for the adapter type that is associated with these 2 objects, right? So I'm actually going to cancel. Here you can see that the adapter type as well as the object type that is associated with this department, this application. Luckily, both of these constructs in the tool are container adapter type. Don't get that confused with Kubernetes. A container adapter is just kind of like a group of objects or a group of VMs, right? So what we're going to do is press edit the widget again, go down here into object type, press up here. We can come down here into adapter type and press container, right? So here you can see all of the different container types that we have built out. And then we can select on application, right? Over here, it's going to pull up all of the metrics and properties that the tool generates for applications. If I scroll down on here, I could say have the health and efficiency show up for departments and applications, as well as I could see if there's anything else we want to throw in. Yep, let's do alert count, right? So let's show all the alerts that may be running on that object or any of the children objects. Awesome. So let's go ahead and press OK and press save. Cool. We scroll over. Awesome. So now you can see that we have the health, which it doesn't look like our DBA team is doing too great. We also have the efficiency badge showing up, as well as all of the alerts that may be running on them right now. I see that this is showing all alerts, and I might change this, guys, so just so it's showing critical alerts. right? So let's delete that guy, add in another metric. Application. Let's just do a critical alert count, right? So I was showing too many alerts before. There may be info alerts, right? So I just wanted to show critical health alerts. So if I press save again, awesome. So that dropped it down. So that makes a lot more sense. With 39 critical alerts, it makes sense why it's at 25% health. But now you can see that you have to scroll all the way over to the right to be able to see those metrics that are actually helpful. So if you want to get rid of some of these automatic metrics that are included, you can actually press this little kind of column button down here. And let's get rid of the adapter type, the object type, the policy, the collection state, and collection status. Awesome. Now you can see that we have a new widget that's going to allow our users to select a department or application and also give some high-level metrics about those objects, right? All right, awesome. And if you guys have any questions in the chat as we go along, feel free to drop those into the chat so I can answer those as we go. So the next widget I want to create, guys, is a widget that will allow you to see all of the VMs that are in either this application or this department, right? So to do that, we're going to drop in another object list, right? And we're going to get into show interactions, right? There's kind of two parts of show interactions. This little button means send information, right? And this little target means capture the information, right? So this arrow is going to send which department or application you select to this object list, right? So I am going to click hide interactions, right? So now if I click on one of these guys, you see that, okay, the ERP application is showing up here and the DBA team department is showing up over here, right? But I don't want it to show the same object again. I want it to show the VMs that are a part of this department or application. So now I'm going to click edit widget again. And then I'm going to go down in here into the input transformation, right? So I want vRealize to transform that input that I'm sending to that other dashboard and just show the children, right, of that object, right? So the VM is a part of, you know, a downstream of that department, right? So that's why it's called a children object, right? So I'm going to press save and see how that goes. As you guys are seeing, there's a ton of trial and error, right, as you kind of click through. So you know, even when I create dashboards, I do something, press save, and see how it turns out, right? So now I can select here. Oh, and now we've encountered a problem, right? So we can see the DBA team is working fine, right? But the ERP application is actually taking us into the tiers, right, which are the direct children of that application. And the VMs are children of the tiers, right? So how do I make that change, right? I'm going to click on that pencil again, go down here into input transformation, and I'm going to change the depth of the children, right? So I'm going to change the depth to 2, right? So it goes 2 steps away from the tier, right? If I press save, you can now see that, you can now see that it's capturing the virtual machines as well. But I don't want to have this tier stuff show up in this widget. So I'm going to go back to the pencil, go down here into output filter, right? So everything that's in that widget, I just want it to show virtual machines, right? So I'm going to go into object types and be like, okay, scroll down to V and just show me, virtual machine. So I'll click on that. Awesome. So now it's showing up perfectly. I can also change the name of this widget to be select a virtual machine. Awesome. So now my users can select a department or application that I built out, and then over here they can select a virtual machine, right? But now I obviously want to be able to show them, you know, alerts and you know, information about that virtual machine. So you have 2 types of alert widgets in the tool, right? if you want an alert widget to be able to take information from another widget, right, objects, you actually need to use this alert list and not the top alerts, right? With top alerts, you can actually select a certain object, right, and just show alerts for that object, right? But today we're going to stick with alert list. What I actually want to happen is I'm going to press show interactions again. And what I actually want to happen is I want whatever department or application you select, it'll show you all alerts for that department or application, right? So let's see if we've got that to work. So if I click here, all right, so now it's showing us only the 5. So you can see that we've got the critical health alerts. You can see that it's only showing us those over here, right? If we click over here, we should see, yeah, we see a lot more alerts, right? Because this is saying 39 alerts. So whichever one you clicked is showing you the virtual machine and then the alert list for that. But now I want to be able to show some information about the virtual machine. So actually what I'm going to test out here, guys, is a cool feature that I just learned about how you can copy and paste widgets from other dashboards into dashboards that you're creating. Right, so I'm going to just go ahead and press save. You know, many of you have explored around in the other dashboards, right, in vRealize operations, or downloaded dashboards from our sample exchange, where other people are able to upload dashboards that you can download and be able to test those out, right? So I went into this dashboard earlier, and I liked how it had it set up where it would show for a VM the current CPU as well as the recommended CPU. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go in and edit this dashboard, click on the CPU widget, go up here to actions and press copy widget, press cancel, and jump back into the dashboard that I've been creating. Go ahead and edit that guy and press paste. Cool, so now we have that widget from that other section. I am going to shrink it down. And then I am going to press show interactions and connect that up to the virtual machine, right? So select a virtual machine, have it show its CPU and recommended CPU. So if I click on a guy over here, yep, so now it's popping up the same way it did in the other dashboard. If I press save, I'm actually going to go back, guys, and grab that, that memory widget as well that I like. So let's go back into capacity, press edit, grab that memory, copy widget, save. Edit dashboard, and paste. Awesome. That is a new feature that I just learned as I was putting this webinar together for you guys, but that's going to be super helpful to me. So go out and find other widgets that you like and copy and paste them into dashboards that you're creating. Also, going into other dashboards that are created, guys, and clicking on this little pencil is a great way to learn how they are created, right? So if you see something really cool, I recommend editing it, right, and going into the little pencil and seeing how the user created it. So now it's going to fill out that memory scoreboard for me as well, and we can click on that. All right, awesome. So now we can see that if we click around, it's showing us current CPU and recommended CPU for that machine. But I also want to be able to show maybe like CPU demand or memory demand, or right, for that machine. So you can see the widget that we've been using up here is the Scoreboard widget, right? It will, you can see in here that it'll show you that it's the Scoreboard widget. So what we're going to go down here and select that Scoreboard widget and add an additional scoreboard. So I'm going to come down here. Let's shrink this guy up a little bit. And I want it to show CPU demand, right? So what I'm going to do is go down here into output data, right? This is where you will define the metric that you want it to show. I am going to click this pencil, go up here into here and select, I wanted to show virtual machine metric, right? So click on that guy. And then up here we can search. So I wanted to show CPU. Let's show CPU demand and CPU usage. Press OK. And I'm going to call this CPU Scoreboard. And let's press OK. Make sure everything's looking good. Oh, and then I got to hook up the interactions. Hide interaction. Select the eye up here. Okay, awesome. Now it's showing my CPU demand and CPU usage. What I can also do, which is pretty neat, is press this pencil. And if you come up here, which is a pretty cool thing, if you drop down here and select Sparkline, it'll show you a little line chart in the widget for you, right, which would be helpful for CPU demand. And you can also change the way that they look. This is something fun that you can kind of play around with and click and see all the different ways that metrics can show up, right? I'm kind of feeling this one today, the high contrast one. So if I press save, it will show the CPU demand and CPU usage graphs for me. Awesome. I am actually going to change the way this looks really quick. I wanted to show stacked over here. So this row is all CPU and this row is all memory. But you can see now that's not very helpful because it's showing up as two columns. So I'm going to click on this little pencil and just change the number of columns to one column. And now it should stack them on top of each other. Awesome. So now it's showing CPU demand and usage. I also want to do the same thing for memory. So I'm going to use that handy dandy copy and paste feature again. Scroll this down, move it over, shrink it up, press this pencil. Let's change it to memory scoreboard. And then down here in output data, let's delete the demand and usage, add a new one. Virtual machine. And then let's go to demand. Let's go guest demand and memory. Let's go memory usage, right? So now we have guest demand and guest usage. Do we have that as a percent? Yeah, let's select usage percent and select workload percent as well. So memory usage and memory workload are going to show up as percent. If I understand your question, Steve, hopefully, I think you're asking how I was able to get that graph to show up. And that's by clicking on this Sparkline. If your question is how back in time this is showing, right? What's the full timeline that is checking in here? That's actually a really good question. You could go down here into period length and be able to change that, right? So if you wanted to just show the last 24 hours, right, you could select that. I'm not sure what it shows by default. Another thing that you could do, Steve, which is really cool, is you could select dashboard time, right, which is actually what I am going to do. And I'm actually going to change this to show dashboard time as well, because that would allow your users to be able to decide how back in time they wanted to show this for. So now I'm going to press select a virtual machine and have that go down here and fill out the memory scoreboard. So let's hope everything is working. So if I select on one of these, awesome. So now it's showing usage and workload and demand and usage. The reason why I selected that dashboard time, right, is now your users can go up here, and if they want to see a 24-hour time span, they could select that button, 7 days, 1 hour, and this widget will change for you. So I'm going to go back into Edit Dashboard and throw in a few more things. Next is the object relationship chart, which I think is super helpful, right? Let's see how this VM is related back to the rest of the environment. Because we're running low on time, I'm going to go ahead and add these additional widgets that I want to show. One will be the metric picker. So I want my users to be able to select a certain metric. Drop that guy. And oh, it's way down here. Okay, press save. Seems to be having issues, but I want to be able to throw in, oops, looks like they are layering on top of each other for some strange reason. Okay, I'm going to press save. Looks like it's bugging out on me for some reason. But thinking that might happen, I actually created this little test one that we will jump over into because this one looks like it's having some sort of issue all of a sudden. But you see, I wanted to build out this object relationship chart as well as this metric picker and metric chart. So I'm going to go down in here into Edit Dashboard and press Show Interaction. So depending on what object I select, it's going to show up in the object relationship. And whatever object I select in the object relationship chart, I want it to show up in the metric picker, right? So users could select whatever object they wanted and then be able to change, be able to see metrics, right? And now you'll see we're seeing a few different colors in here, right? And orange means it's going to send what metric I select to the metric chart to be able to show up. So I'm going to go ahead and press save. Select on a virtual machine. And now it's showing up in the object relationship. And I could select, say, the host object. And then down here in the metric picker, I could see the CPU demand percentage at the host level, as you can see, or my users could pull that up. Awesome. So now you can see that we have this entire dashboard created, right, based on the groups that we selected. They're able to select a VM. We're able to see some scoreboard information down here. So then I want to be able to share this dashboard out with users. So I can click up here and generate a shareable dashboard link by pressing copy link and setting a certain expiry. And then I can take this link, copy it to the clipboard, and send this out to my users to be able to pull up and access on their own time. Awesome. So that was a quick and speedy time on how to create custom dashboards. I hope it was useful for you guys and you learned something new. I am going to jump back over to my PowerPoint and wrap us up. First thing I'm going to do is I am going to end that previous polling and launch my second poll. And that should have just been launched, guys, for you guys to vote on the topic that you would like to cover next month. Next thing I'm going to do is drop the link in the chat for you guys to sign up for the new the book one more time. So I'm dropping the link into sign up to receive your free books that will ship to you in the chat. I'm also going to drop the link to sign up for my newsletter. Similar to these webinars, I send out a monthly newsletter, just updating you guys and keeping you in the know about the latest and greatest with vRealize. So that's that second link in the chat. And I see that building out custom policies and alerts is our top contender right now and what you guys would like to cover next month. So please keep voting in that. Please sign up for your free book and sign up for my newsletter. And as you know, guys, hopefully all of you have my contact information. You know, if you're, building out custom dashboards or, working on something, please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you ever need help. So I hope you guys enjoyed today. Looks like we'll be covering custom policies and alerts during next month's webinar, and hope to see you there. Thanks again for joining today. And if you want to hang around and drop any questions in the chat, let me know.